A child does not come by chance. Nothing in existence is accidental, though the human mind loves to believe in coincidence. What appears random to the intellect is carefully arranged by laws far deeper than logic, laws that work silently, patiently, across lifetimes. Souls are not thrown together by biology alone. They are drawn together by unseen karmic laws, moving with precision through time, memory, and consciousness. Before a child takes its first breath, before the world hears its cry, a silent agreement has already been made at the level of the soul. Long before bodies are formed, souls travel with their unfinished lessons, their unresolved emotions, their unfulfilled love, and their unlearned compassion. When the moment is ripe, life brings together those who can help each other grow, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. You may believe you chose to become a parent. In a deeper sense, the soul of the child also chose you, not for comfort alone, not merely for protection or pleasure, but for evolution. The universe does not assign relationships casually, it assigns them intelligently. Every soul arrives exactly where it must, to face exactly what it must, in order to move one step closer to awareness. This child in your life, this presence that changes your sleep, your routine, your priorities, did not appear to decorate your existence, it came to transform it. The law of karma does not ask whether you are ready, it brings what is required for your inner growth, and often growth comes disguised as responsibility. The child may awaken joy so intense it overwhelms you, or it may bring challenges that exhaust your strength, sometimes both. But remember, karma is not cruelty, it is intelligence. It never gives you what you do not have the capacity to face. It gives you what you need to become more than you are. Souls meet again and again across lifetimes, as parent and child, as teacher and student, as protector and dependent. Roles change, but the lesson remains. The child who arrives through you may have once guided you. The one who now depends on you may have once been strong when you were weak. Karma weaves these patterns not to bind you, but to balance you. There are parents who feel instant love, and there are parents who struggle. Do not judge either. The soul does not operate on sentiment, it operates on necessity. If love feels difficult, it is because love is the lesson. If patience is tested daily, patience is what must be learned. If sacrifice feels heavy, the soul is being trained to release attachment. The child reflects you in ways no mirror can. Your anger, your fear, your unhealed wounds, your expectations. Through their innocence or resistance, they reveal the parts of you that still seek completion. This is not punishment. This is invitation. An invitation to rise beyond unconscious reaction into conscious response. The unseen karmic law does not work with blame. It works with responsibility. It whispers, awaken. It asks you to grow beyond the patterns you inherited, beyond the limitations you accepted, beyond the emotions you never questioned. Through the child, life asks you to become more aware, more loving, more present. The greatest misunderstanding is believing that a child belongs to you. In truth, the child belongs to life. You are merely the doorway through which a soul enters the world. And life has chosen you because, in some deep and mysterious way, your consciousness and theirs are linked. There is no randomness in this link. Even the timing is precise. The moment of birth, the circumstances, the family environment, everything aligns according to karmic necessity. The soul arrives when the conditions for its lesson are ready, and you are part of those conditions. When you resist this truth, parenting becomes burden. When you accept it, parenting becomes sacred. You stop asking why your life changed so drastically. You stop comparing your journey with others. You begin to see that what is unfolding is not chaos, but choreography. A child does not come to fulfill your dreams. A child comes to fulfill a deeper law, to complete something unfinished, to soften what has hardened, to awaken what has slept within you for too long. When you recognize this, blame dissolves, regret loses its power, even difficulty gains meaning. You no longer see the child as a problem to manage, but as a soul to understand. And in understanding them, you begin, slowly, quietly, to understand yourself. The karmic law is subtle. It does not shout. It arranges life so perfectly that you are forced to look inward. And the child, innocent yet powerful, becomes the most intimate messenger of that law. Parents are not owners of children. Ownership belongs to the world of objects, not to the realm of souls. A child is not a possession, not an extension of ego, not a continuation of unfulfilled dreams. A child is a living mystery, arriving with its own destiny, its own inner compass, its own silent calling. Parents are guardians chosen by destiny, not to control a life, but to protect its unfolding. The moment a child is born, society begins to whisper ideas of ownership, my child, my blood, my legacy. Yet life itself moves in a different language. Life entrusts, it does not surrender. The soul that arrives through you is not yours to mold according to fear or ambition. It is placed in your care because, at this moment in time, you are capable of offering the environment that soul needs to grow. Guardianship is sacred. It demands humility. It asks the parent to step aside from dominance and step into responsibility, to guide without suffocating, to protect without imprisoning, to love without attachment. This is not easy, because the ego desires control, it wants certainty, it wants obedience. But a soul does not bloom under command, it blooms under understanding. Every child carries a blueprint that no parent designed. Tendencies appear early, curiosities emerge without permission, sensitivities reveal themselves without instruction. These are not mistakes, they are signs. Signs of a soul remembering something ancient, something personal, something beyond this lifetime. When parents try to overwrite this blueprint, conflict begins. Not because the child is disobedient, but because the soul resists erasure. Destiny did not choose you to create a replica of yourself. Destiny chose you to witness the emergence of someone entirely new. Silence. Feel the depth of that responsibility. A guardian does not impose direction. A guardian offers light. Light enough for the soul to see its own path. A guardian watches carefully, intervenes lovingly, and then steps back. There is strength in restraint. There is wisdom in allowing a child to stumble, to question, to explore, to be. Come. The hardest lesson for a parent is understanding that love does not mean possession. Love means trust. Trust that life knows what it is doing. Trust that the soul has its own intelligence. Trust that guidance is more powerful than control. Parents often confuse fear with care. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of losing relevance. And so they push, they plan, they pressure. But fear cannot raise a conscious being. Fear only raises obedience or rebellion. Destiny asks for something higher, presence. When you are present, you see the child as they are, not as you want them to be. You listen not just to words, but to silences. You observe patterns without immediately labeling them. You allow the soul to express itself safely, even when it challenges your beliefs. This is why destiny chooses guardians carefully. Not the perfect, not the flawless, but the ones who still have room to grow, because guardianship is also education for the parent. As the child unfolds, so does the guardian. Patience is cultivated, judgment softens, control loosens, love deepens. A child tests boundaries not to break them, but to discover where freedom lives. A guardian understands this. They do not crush curiosity, they guide it. They do not fear questions, they welcome them. They do not demand identity, they allow discovery. When parents release ownership, something profound happens. The relationship becomes pure. Expectations fall away. Comparison loses meaning. The child feels seen rather than shaped. And in that safety the soul opens, naturally, effortlessly. Destiny did not appoint you as ruler. It appointed you as caretaker. For a brief moment in eternity, this soul walks beside you, learns through you, leans on you. One day it will walk alone. What it carries forward will not be your commands, but your consciousness. What you offer is not control, but example. Not ambition, but awareness. Not fear, but faith. And this offering shapes the unfolding more deeply than any instruction ever could. A guardian understands that letting go is not abandonment. It is trust in the intelligence of life. It is knowing when to hold and when to release, when to protect and when to allow the soul to face the world. In that balance, destiny fulfills itself, quietly, gracefully, through love that does not bind and guidance that does not cage. The challenges a child brings are not accidents of temperament or fate. They are precise lessons, delivered with care by life itself, meant to awaken patience, love, and self-mastery within the parent. What feels like difficulty on the surface is often transformation taking place underneath. Life does not speak in words, it speaks through situations. And a child is one of its most powerful teachers. Every time frustration arises, every time anger flares, every time exhaustion overwhelms you, something ancient is being touched. The child is not creating these emotions, they are revealing them. Hidden layers of impatience, control, fear, and expectation come to light because the presence of a child removes all masks. You can pretend with the world, but not with a child. They demand authenticity, and life uses that demand to shape you. The child who tests your patience again and again is not your enemy. That child is your mirror. They show you where your calm is conditional, where your kindness depends on obedience, where your love has limits you are not aware of. This revelation is uncomfortable, but it is sacred. Growth has never been comfortable. Patience is not learned through ease. It is born in moments where reaction feels natural, but restraint is chosen. When a child repeats the same mistake, asks the same question, defies the same instruction, the soul of the parent stands at a crossroads. React unconsciously or respond with awareness. In that moment, karma is rewritten. Love too is refined through challenge. It is easy to love when the child is obedient, successful, smiling. But when disappointment arrives, when behavior embarrasses, when choices confuse, when paths diverge from expectation, love is tested. Conditional love demands compliance. Unconditional love demands inner strength. And strength is not domination. Strength is presence. Self-mastery is the highest lesson hidden in parenting. The child triggers emotions because those emotions already exist within you. Anger does not come from the child. It comes from your stored reactions. Fear does not come from their future. It comes from your attachment to control. Impatience does not come from their slowness. It comes from your inner unrest. The child simply presses the button, and life watches to see what awakens. When you shout, life asks you to observe the shouting within yourself. When you feel helpless, life invites you to discover inner stability. When you feel overwhelmed, life urges you to surrender what you cannot control. These are not punishments. These are lessons in mastery. Mastery does not mean suppression. It means awareness. Awareness of breath before words. Awareness of emotion before action. Awareness of intention before discipline. Through the child, life trains you to pause, to breathe, to respond rather than react. A child's resistance often awakens humility. You realize that force does not create understanding. That authority without empathy creates distance. That control without compassion creates rebellion. Slowly, the illusion of power dissolves, and a deeper intelligence takes its place. In this process, love becomes spacious. It learns to include imperfection. It learns to hold contradiction. It learns to stay open even when hurt. This is not weakness. This is maturity. The greatest teachers do not stand on stages. They live in your home. They look up at you with questioning eyes. They challenge your assumptions. They disrupt your comfort. And in doing so, they polish the soul. There will be moments when you feel you are failing. These moments are not signs of defeat. They are signals of growth. Awareness often feels like failure before it feels like freedom. When you notice your impatience, you have already risen above it. When you witness your anger, it has begun to lose its grip. The child does not ask for perfection. The child invites consciousness. Life knows that adults rarely change through advice. They change through responsibility. And no responsibility is more intimate, more demanding, more revealing than raising a child. That is why karma chooses this path so often. Through challenge, patience is born. Through difficulty, love deepens. Through chaos, self-mastery emerges. Not suddenly, not easily, but truthfully, and slowly, quietly, the parent realizes the child was never the obstacle. The child was the doorway. Parenting is not merely an act of biology, nor is it only a role assigned by society. It is a sacred spiritual practice, one of the most intimate paths through which consciousness is refined. The world may describe parenting in terms of duty, responsibility, or success, but life itself whispers a deeper truth. Raising a child is a daily meditation in action. A spiritual practice is not limited to temples, scriptures, or silent rooms. True spirituality happens where awareness is tested, where ego is challenged, where love must remain awake under pressure. Parenting brings all of this into ordinary moments. Feeding, listening, correcting, waiting. Each moment becomes a mirror. Each moment asks, are you present or are you reacting? When a child cries, the practice begins, not with the child but within the parent. Can you remain calm while the chaos unfolds? Can you listen without irritation? Can you offer care without resentment? These moments train the soul more deeply than any ritual performed in isolation. Silence. Notice how simple moments become sacred when awareness enters them. Biology may explain how a child is born, but it cannot explain why the child transforms you. Social roles may define expectations, but they cannot account for the inner shifts, the breaking of old habits, the softening of rigidity, the awakening of compassion. Something deeper is at work. Every spiritual path speaks of selflessness. Parenting demands it daily. Sleep is sacrificed. Time is surrendered. Preferences dissolve, not as an idea, but as lived reality. Through this surrender, ego is slowly dismantled, not violently but persistently. Parenting teaches patience not through theory, but through repetition. The same question asked again, the same mistake repeated again, the same resistance faced again and again. The soul is invited to choose awareness over irritation. This is discipline of the highest order. A spiritual practice is meant to awaken love beyond conditions. Parenting does this relentlessly. Love must remain open when behavior disappoints, when outcomes are uncertain, when gratitude is absent. You learn to give without immediate return. You learn to care without guarantee. This is devotion in its purest form. Correction becomes compassion when consciousness is present. Discipline becomes guidance rather than punishment. Authority becomes responsibility rather than control. These shifts do not happen automatically. They happen when parenting is lived as a path, not a performance. The child becomes a constant reminder that life is not here to obey your plans. Schedules fail. Expectations collapse. Control slips away. And in that loss of control, surrender is born. Surrender not as weakness, but as alignment with life. Spirituality speaks of humility. Parenting enforces it. No matter how much you know, the child humbles you. No matter how confident you are, the child exposes your limits. No matter how disciplined you are, the child reveals your inconsistencies. This is not failure, it is refinement. Each reaction you witness in yourself becomes an opportunity. Each moment of awareness becomes progress. Slowly, the inner landscape changes. Less judgment, more listening, less force, more understanding. The sacredness of parenting lies in its continuity. There is no escape, no retreat, no pause button. The practice follows you through joy and fatigue, through pride and doubt, and because it is inescapable, it is effective. You may forget meditation, but you cannot forget a child. And through that remembrance, awareness is trained. Parenting teaches presence better than any teacher. A child demands now, not later, not when you are ready, now. This constant call into the present moment sharpens consciousness. In time you realize that parenting is not about raising a child alone. It is about raising yourself. Old patterns dissolve, new strengths emerge. Love becomes less possessive and more expansive. Responsibility becomes sacred rather than heavy. The world may measure parenting by outcomes, success, behavior, achievement. But spirituality measures it by inner change, by how much softer you have become, how much more patient, how much more aware. In that quiet transformation, parenting reveals itself, not as a role you perform, but as a path that walks you home. When guided with love and awareness, karma no longer feels like a chain binding the soul. It begins to soften. It begins to change its nature. What once appeared as obligation slowly transforms into conscious service, and what once felt heavy starts to carry the fragrance of grace. The same circumstances remain, the same responsibilities remain, but the inner relationship to them is completely transformed, and feel the shift already happening within you. Karma operates through action, but it is shaped by consciousness. Two people can perform the same act, yet one becomes burdened while the other becomes liberated. The difference is not in what is done, but in how it is done. When actions arise from fear, expectation, or unconscious habit, karma tightens its grip. When actions arise from love and awareness, karma begins to dissolve. Love changes the quality of action. Awareness changes its direction. Without awareness, service feels like sacrifice. It feels exhausting. It feels unfair. There is resistance hidden beneath effort. But when awareness enters, resistance melts. You begin to see that nothing is being taken from you, something is being given through you. Silence. Let that truth resonate. Conscious service is not forced duty, it is willingness, it is action aligned with understanding. When you serve with awareness, you are no longer trying to escape karma, you are using it as a path. Every responsibility becomes an opportunity to be present. Every challenge becomes an invitation to act from love, rather than reaction. In unconscious living, karma repeats itself. The same patterns return, the same frustrations arise, the same emotions circle back. But awareness breaks repetition. When you respond consciously, you do not create new chains. You loosen old ones. Grace does not arrive from outside. It flowers from within awareness. Notice how deeply this touches you. Love brings softness to karma. It removes bitterness. It removes resentment. It removes the silent complaint that life owes you something. When love guides action, expectations fall away. You give because giving feels natural, not because you are required to. This is the miracle, action without inner resistance. Awareness brings clarity to karma. It allows you to see why a situation exists, not intellectually, but intuitively. You stop asking, why me? And begin asking, what is life asking of me now? This shift alone changes everything. Service performed unconsciously drains energy. Service performed consciously renews it. Because conscious service connects you to a deeper source. You are no longer acting from personal will alone, you are moving with life. There is a subtle joy in conscious service, a quiet fulfillment. Not excitement, not pride, but peace. Peace arises because the ego is no longer fighting reality. It has learned to cooperate and feel that peace. Grace appears when effort is free of tension, when action flows without inner conflict, when love guides the hands and awareness guides the heart. Grace is not dramatic, it is gentle. It arrives as ease in the midst of responsibility, as calm within chaos, as clarity during uncertainty. Even difficult karma changes its texture under awareness. Pain may still be present, but suffering reduces. Challenges remain, but bitterness disappears. You begin to sense that nothing is wasted. Every moment of conscious action is reshaping your inner world. Karma does not vanish overnight, but its power weakens. Its lessons complete themselves. What once demanded struggle now invites understanding. When service is conscious, identity dissolves. You are no longer the doer seeking reward. You become the instrument through which love moves. This dissolves pride and guilt alike. Success does not inflate you. Failure does not crush you. Action flows and you remain centered. This is grace in action. Grace is not exemption from responsibility. Grace is the ability to carry responsibility without inner weight. To act fully yet remain free. To give deeply yet stay whole. Feel how light that freedom is. When karma is guided by love and awareness, life itself begins to support you. Not by removing challenges, but by giving you strength, by giving you clarity, by giving you trust. The transformation is subtle but profound. The same life, the same duties, the same relationships, but a different inner sky, clearer, wider, quieter. And in that quiet, action becomes prayer, service becomes meditation, karma becomes a doorway, opening gently into grace.